out of the mouth of 2 or 3.
For 6 non-consecutive days, we have watched ministerial nominees mount this lectern and present themselves to be screened by the Senate. We saw nominees take a bow and exit the stage. Some called to task over discrepancies in academic qualifications and controversial comments and tweets. A nominee overcome with emotions mid-presentation and the nomination withdrawn.
Distinguished colleagues.
But we never saw the Senate go into a rowdy session during the screening exercise until Monday, when the former Minister of State for Labour, Mr. Festus Keyamo, was before the upper chamber. Mr. Keyamo is the last of 48 nominees to be screened and confidently informs the Senate how he had spent the last 30 years using the instrumentality of the law to advance the cause of democracy and strengthen the powers of the Senate.
I felt that if I looked at all the provisions of the law, and I felt the military had to bow to this Senate, had to subject itself to the authority of the Senate. And so on my own, I wrote then to the Senate President, Senator David Mark, I wrote to the then Attorney General Andwaka, I wrote to all of them that, look, this procedure is not right. The military must come here for confirmation before they assume, their duties.
My order is anchored on Section 88 of the Constitution.
Trouble begins for Mr. Keyamo when the Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Darlington Nwakocha, draws the attention of the Senate to events in 2020 when Mr. Keyamo held sway as the Minister of State for Labour as regards the 52 billion naira public works program. Senator Nwakocha recalls how Mr. Keyamo at the time denied lawmakers the opportunity to oversight the program.
What we are talking about is a 52 billion naira appropriation, and the right of appropriation resides on the legislature. That is our right. And I know quite well that the right of oversight resides on us because we have to hold you accountable for whatever thing we appropriate to you. It is our right. And when he was invited, he expressly told us, to the public, that we want to hijack his role. That we want to blackmail us, that we are corrupt, that we want to hijack his role.
Senator Ainaya Abaribe quickly seconds the motion that Mr. Keyamo's ministerial screening be suspended.
Both the House of Representatives and the Senate, that I do support that this nominee should be stepped down pending when he decides that the National Assembly has that right to inquire into the workings of a minister and his ministry. I so second.
At this point, Mr. Keyamo's screening effectively divides the Senate, with some senators calling for a division.
Distinguished senator, take your seats, please.
The Senate Majority Leader calls for an executive session in an attempt to bring order to proceedings.
Mr. President, and very, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, may I at this time move that we dissolve into an executive session to be able to iron out some issues.
Nearly 2 hours later, the session ends. A sober-looking Keyamo is once again on the stage.
The apology is without reservation at all. I apologize. There are only 2 things I just need to say before I go, because we are before the world, 1 or 2 things. One is that regarding that program, because when Nigerians hear a figure, their ears go up. Hey, one big figure has been mentioned. No. Regarding that program, every single payment, and I insisted to the past president that it must come from the central bank directly to the accounts of the people who were nominated to receive those funds.
A federal lawmaker makes a case for Mr. Keyamo.
Now that he's apologized before the National Assembly, including myself, because I also have a question that I should ask. But now that I apologize, I want to appeal to the General House and the Senate under the leadership of Mr. Chairman, the Senate President, that I am moving a motion for him to take the leave of the Senate and to go and not to sin again. Take a leave and go, and don't repeat such again now that you have apologized before this horror house.
Those who are in support of this motion say aye. Aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. The apologies are hereby accepted.
The Senate accepts his apology and he is asked to exit the podium.
Will the Senate approve the nomination of
The Senate proceeds to confirm the ministerial nominees.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The upper chamber confirms a total of 45 nominees. 3 of the nominees, namely former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, Mrs. Stella Okotete from Delta, and Abubakar Danladi from Taraba State, are not confirmed because they are still undergoing security checks.
Please approach.